The story of this production, I feel like there's a number of possible beginnings, but the story of this production for me is the story of my relationship with Branden Jacobs-Jenkins.
A real playwright is always trying to figure out what the thing is that it wants to be, and you got to be willing to kind of try and fail and get that data. So I just feel like that's been the experience of everything I write, but most kind of obviously it seems it's appropriate.
I think for both of us, the core of the endeavor is to find the play and unlock the play. When you're doing a first production, the world premiere of a play, that's really the goal. I mean, you're figuring out how the animal moves, how it breathes, what it smells like. Even in this revival, this is technically a revival of a play that Branden wrote just over a decade ago. I think we both approached this like a new play process, in part because I knew that there were lingering questions that Branden still had about the play from a dramaturgical perspective. Some of that had to do with the characterization of certain members of this family, areas of their psychology that he actually felt he had not plumbed with the degree of depth that he had wanted to. So I would say the first few weeks of the process were primarily about trying to listen to how the play was working.
A play is a live document, and its fullest self is the one that has to kind of engage the audience that shows up to it. If you look at Arthur Miller's All My Sons, there's 2 published versions of it, right, where he clearly was like, wait a minute, I've got to make this change, you know? So I guess I always believed that like that was the playwright's sort of obligation and kind of right to fix what they know is broken. I mean, the irony is also is that, you know, in the theater, you're always running out of time. You know, you really just never have enough time. And it's become more and more so as time has passed. You know, if we lived in, you know, Germany, we'd have 5 months to rehearse with our ensemble of actors. But here, there's this kind of expectation that you're going to find people you're going to work with very quickly. And then the next Monday, you have 3 weeks to get it all together. And it's just like not how work gets made.
Right. And it seems, you know, just based on the vibe coming off you, that it's something you have some complicated feelings about, right? And maybe there's a little shame there, right? Would you say that this is like a regular thing for you? Actually, you know what? You don't have to answer that. I mean, how could it be, right? Or, you know, actually, I don't know. But, okay, look. Again, I'm not judging. I want you to know that I think what's happening here is all just about pain. It's about being in pain. There's a pain inside you that's leading you to do things like this, that make you feel like this. Is this sounding familiar? You know, and you've got to figure out the source of it in order to free yourself, because these bad things you're feeling, they can kill you. I mean, they can ruin what should be a very beautiful part of life.
Sorry, what are we talking about?
We're talking about the pictures, dude.
Oh.
What do you think we were talking
Sorry,
about?
Go ahead.
I guess I started writing the play in 2009, 2010. I was in the Public Theater's Emerging Writers Group, and you know, part of the deal is you're writing a new play. I didn't quite finish it there, but I started it there. And I would say that I was probably most directly inspired by this kind of dual event of August Osage County coming to town and the sort of response to that critically and also played by Lydia Diamond called Stick Fly, which I also love. And looking at how those plays seemed to be getting judged somehow with a bit of a double standard. And it made me really want to understand more deeply this idea or genre of the American family drama, which is sort of the one of the two things that, well, there's three things apparently we as Americans have contributed to world theater. And one is minstrelsy, one is musical theater, and the other is the family drama. We somehow perfected that form, is what the kind of critical consensus is. So I decided I wanted to write a family drama. I wanted to understand what a family drama was, and that's how Appropriate was actually born.
We first met at the Humana Festival of New American Plays at Actors Theater of Louisville in 2013. He was doing the very first production of this play, its world premiere, and I was directing a production of a play by a writer named Mallory Avedon called Oh Guru, 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 or Why I Don't Want to Go to Yoga Class with You. I had seen Brandon's work in New York. We had seen each other's work, and I think there was a bit of a mutual admiration thing sprouting, but then we met, and you can ask him what he thinks, but my memory is that we took to each other quickly and very intensely as friends.
And ironically enough, I think a couple years after the fact, the Juilliard School programmed the play as one of the three plays that its kind of fourth-year students would perform, and Lila Neugebauer directed that play, and I went and saw that play. And I remember thinking, like, holy crap, that she kind of like heard the siren song. Like she kind of she was on the wavelength of the play, and I could tell from her production she like got what I was up to. And time passes, other things happen, and I look up one day and I'm getting a phone call from producers who were curious about a possible Broadway run of the show. And the first person I said was Lila Neugebauer. She's got to do it. It's got to be Lila.
Appropriate. Well, as you know, that exact spelling, you can read the word appropriate, or you can read the word appropriate. The play's called Appropriate, but a host of meanings are available to you.
Appropriate is a play about the kind of three estranged siblings who have come together to liquidate their late father's estate. And that estate happens to be located on a former plantation home that's been in their family for many generations. And at this reunion of these three families, various discoveries are made, both physical and emotional, that just create a lot of theater, And my number one question I'm asked literally all the time is like, is it appropriate or appropriate? And that's the point. The point is that one word contains a lot, and all language is quite unstable in that way. And it's okay for both things to be possible.
I've never asked any writer this in this way, but I'm like, well, here we are. What do you look for in a director?
I can talk a lot. I love to talk. And there's some people who don't like that experience, who are intimidated by language, who don't want to hear it, who can't keep up, or, there's some strong silent types in our field. So I need someone who is willing to listen and also willing to talk. This is the kind of issue of being an oldest child, right? Is that you're always like the over-communicator. So that's the thing I like. I really love it if they know how to read. And I don't mean that just in terms of literacy, but, plays are a very specific kind of technology, and sometimes it's hard for people to see what you're actually up to as you stuff things in this thing called stage directions, or you hide things under this character's name.
Theater is a collaboration between the people on that stage and the people in that room. You are in a conversation with them that is unfolding in real time every night, and it is a dance. I think particularly with such a volatile play and a play with such extreme dynamics, there is a real give and take in that room. We're now doing the play in an even bigger space. That give and take works differently, metabolically, in a room twice as big. And those actors are, yeah, they're dancing with those people every night.
You have to only surround yourself with people you believe in. You know, you have to trust talent. You know, you have to build a situation in which you trust people to explore and discover to the best of their abilities. And somehow that kind of culture of mutual respect is how you get the best work out of people, how you avoid sort of drama, you know, and you really kind of pour it all into making this collective object that everyone can feel ownership of, you know. And I also think that she's willing to question everything in the same way that I think I have a natural, unfortunate instinct to question everything.
Have you found Frank or Franz yet?
No, but I'm not worried. I thought maybe he'd gone for a drive last night, but the car's still here.
Any luck?
He just gave me some other guy's number to call. Hold on.
What's going on?
Oh, he is just talking to someone about the photos. And thank you, by the way. When Bo told me he tried to throw those pictures away, I nearly killed him. I told him we need to deal with these things. We should sit down with them and the kids and really unpack what is going on. Can you,
Oh, sure.
especially after Reese had seen them, because, you know, kids talk. I mean, Ainsley is one thing. If we're lucky, he will forget all about the... But Cassidy is the one to worry about, because if she wants to see something, she will go after it. And if she sees these pictures without me, I literally might have to kill her and then, of course, kill myself. She's at such an impressionable age. Okay.
There is a scene, it's really the centerpiece of the second act of the play. It's a scene between Sarah Paulson and Corey Stoll's characters, Tony and Bo. And that scene was just about entirely rewritten for this production.
That scene never quite did what I needed it to or wanted it to, but I suspect that something happened in my own life that kind of helped me crack that scene open. You know, during COVID, I welcomed a child into my life. I now have a 3-year-old daughter. And, you know, that experience, I mean, it's a cliche, but that experience does change everything about how you view life and view your own life and you view family. And I somehow understood these characters as parents in a different way. And that made me kind of want to rethink some of the ways that they were interacting and I understood differently what might be at stake for them.
It's a scene in which their grief is excavated and their love is unlocked. I think one of the surprises of this production for me has been uncovering how much love is actually in a play. This play, a play that is characterized by so much embittered conflict. That is the scene in which I think your sense of the history between these two people, in all of its contours, comes forward more definitively and, for me at least, quite movingly.
Of course, it was very easy to do that when you have actors as amazing as Sarah and Corey, because they have such, both of those guys are really remarkable. I mean, everyone in this cast, but especially also Michael Esper, who I never want to forget. But those two have such an incredible range of emotional access and like depth. And when you have an actor like that, it's easier to really write the stories that are about what people can't say or won't say or unable to say.
And I know this is probably a little hard for you to receive because you were his favorite.
What are you talking about? I was his favorite.
Come on, you were Dad's favorite just like I was Mom's favorite.
You were Mom's... Did you just appoint yourself that? Oh, my God. If Daddy had a favorite, it was Frank, obviously. Mom's favorite.
They must have read and worked 4 or 5 different versions of that scene in rehearsals until we found the version that I think we're all quite happy with.
He is also a writer who is operating from a deep passion for the gifts of theatrical designers. And, you know, it's a very rare thing to encounter maybe 7 pages in a play that are exclusively dedicated to an event that features no actors. He's written this epilogue for this play in which we come to recognize that there's a character we've been living with this entire time, but maybe haven't quite thought about, which is this house. And he's written this spectacular provocation for a director and a design team to cast a spell, to use the tools of the theatrical machinery to tell us something about time, about nature, about how minuscule our lives really are in the grand scheme of the forces of time and nature. I think it takes tremendous guts as a writer to put that provocation on the page, and to do it at the end of your play.
I love designers. I love theater design, and I think they're kind of some of those undersung part of our sectors of our field. And I definitely think we've been living through a kind of golden age of design. And I just wanted to create a moment for the designers to kind of reveal themselves and kind of show you how difficult realism is as a form. And so I wrote this kind of wild 6-page dialogueless kind of provocation, basically, to end the play and kind of end the story. And one of the great joys of the play and the many productions I've seen is watching each company deal with that moment. And of course, this has been a real triumph because I've never had a production on this scale with these resources. And to see people really have the means to achieve their dreams has been kind of breathtaking.
We are here at the Belasco Theater, where Appropriate is currently running, and we are attending an understudy rehearsal. Typically, these rehearsals are supervised and run by our incredible stage manager, Barclay, and my wonderful associate director, Laura Duper. But today, we're here. I do like to stop by every now and then, and in this particular instance, we have a member of our understudy company who we know is going to go on. So I'm especially excited to spend some time working with him. And it's, I would say, acutely uncommon that we would be joined by our wonderful playwright, but we have the pleasure of his company today, more than any other person alive on the planet, to help this exact person.
Okay.
Is this, in fact, what this journey is about?
Got it.
Is this why I'm here? So just in terms of how can we infuse these stakes with the sense of oh, maybe in fact, this is what has brought me here.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna launch. I'm gonna keep going through. Is the thing you have to add about anything I just went through in the beginning?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
It's really just kind of feathering this idea that there's frustration for him in how he's not being a good scene partner for you in the myth making, right? That
Yes.
The moment I really think about it is when you're right that he's give them to me. I want to make a moment with you. And eventually he's not meeting you there. So you have to be I'm going to take these, right? There's something about feeling how the kid's not, it's oh, right, you're a kid. What am I doing?
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's an early moment too where he has to kind of retreat and say hey, obviously I'm not the most articulate person. Yeah. To feel, I think a little bit of the comedy is in being okay, I have the worst scene partner here for my fantasy.
Okay.
Oh my God, I passionately love I have the worst scene partner for I have to perform the ritual myself. And in fact, then you really do have to go perform the ritual yourself. What I will add, and I feel what I love about what you're saying to me dovetails into also the subject of where does discovery live in this scene? I knew how deeply I believed in the material. I knew the extent of our convictions regarding who we had hired to design this play and to act in this play. My passion for every single one of our collaborators was and remained so great. I felt the stakes of wanting my own shepherding to rise to the occasion. and I wanted the production to deliver on the excellence of the play. But all of that felt so rooted in joy.
It's been such a rewarding part of my professional life so far, being a theater artist. In some ways, it's like kind of the embodiment of what theater making is for me, because it goes from something so small. It just goes from, me sitting in the audience of Stick Fly, sitting in the audience of August Osage County and being like, what about this? And now I'm literally sharing that same stage, that same history, that same kind of Broadway lineage with those greats. And yeah, it's just it makes a very wild shape, a very moving shape in your life, which again, you don't get, the older you get, the fewer you get of those, right? So just really grateful for it.
When I really step back and look at it, it's actually it's incredibly moving that this is really an expression of a now 10+ year long friendship. I feel humbled and moved to get to play make-believe with my very dear, tremendously gifted friend. And that ongoing, deepened conversation about the stories that we want to tell, that's what keeps me doing this.